Borlin, a.k.a. Mr. Barbra Streisand, going totally off the deep end during a promotional appearance for his new movie, The Hunting Party. The uncalled for comments, really, you could say, came while Borlin was on the Chaz and AJ show on WPLR in New Haven, Connecticut. We're going to play you the tape now, then you decide. Take a listen.
It's something we've been talking about a lot today on the show for obvious reasons, the 60th anniversary of the September 11th attacks.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, happy 9/11.
Well, that's kind of a weird thing to say.
I hear silence.
Yeah.
Well,
we're right outside of New York. I mean, I know people who lost family members, so I don't know. We don't say happy 9/11 around here.
Celebrate the day, right?
Right. Chaz and AJ from WPLR in New Haven, Connecticut join me now in studio. All right, guys, first of all, you guys got such an enormous response to this, and you can imagine a lot of people not so happy. I want to go through some of the emails first, and then I got to get your reaction. These are some of the emails, apparently, that they received from all across the country. First, there's Vincent, who says he actually worked in Tower 2 of the World Trade Center on 9/11. He says, quote, "In no way was this guy being funny or sarcastic. He was being mean or worse." Christine from Georgia says his attitude is the very perfect example of how much Hollywood does not care how the little people are affected by national tragedy as long as Hollywood does not have to be inconvenienced. From Doug in Dallas, "I hope he was thoroughly embarrassed after your interview." From Christine in Mississippi, "No one should ever make light of such a horrific day. Living so far away from where the attacks occurred in no way diminished the impact 9/11 had on my life and the pain and anguish I went through for those families touched directly." And Dave from your home state of Connecticut writes, "Don't beat yourself up too much about not calling him out more than you did. I actually think you stuck it to him enough that everybody knew your displeasure with what he said." And there were many, many more. But Chaz, after all of this happened, you're the one that asked him, well, that's kind of a weird thing to say after he said happy 9/11. I'm sure there were a lot of other things you'd like to say to him.
Well, we were shocked. We have a lot of celebrities on the show. We're not in the business of making them look bad. We're in the business of generating interest for their projects. Mr. Borlin did this to himself, and we just couldn't believe it. Like, why would you say something like that on 9/11? It's like walking into a funeral and saying, congratulations.
Right.
It's the worst thing you could do. And if you do say something that you regret, you would immediately apologize. He didn't. He laughed.
This thing has my heart pounding. It gets me so upset. And what you don't hear from that clip is that after Borlin says, "Celebrate the day," right? And then we cut the clip. Chaz, you go on to say, well, you know, we kind of commemorate the day by remembering the people who were lost and the families that were left behind. Then Borlin says, "I understand." And then he sort of tries to justify what he just said on the air, saying that, quote, "It's a horrible situation how they've been left behind, and even now by anybody who might," and then Chaz, you just say, "I think you should pretty much stick to talking about the movie."
Yeah. I
mean, AJ, do you think he maybe sort of felt like he just stuck his foot in his mouth and tried to correct himself? Because he hasn't come out with an apology yet.
Right. It's hard to say, to be honest with you. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so at all. You know.
No, if he wants to apologize, he can come on the show anytime he likes.
Right, and at this point, he has not issued an apology.
Right. James, if you're out there, we'd like to have you on the show.
And what
explain yourself.
Right.
And what kind of explanation could he possibly have for those words? Happy 9/11?
You know, I don't know. We'd love to have him on the show.
Yeah.
I hope his house doesn't catch on fire anytime in the near future, because I'm not sure that, you know, he might get a quick response to that.
Really?
It's horrible.
It really is. And AJ, you know, the whole time Chaz is kind of having this back and forth with Mr. Streisand, as I like to call him.
Right.
You didn't say much, but I would imagine
my jaw was still dropped open, and I was like, what? I still can't believe it. I was like, what? What did he say?
Well, look what happened to Imus. He made a tasteless joke, and he got fired.
Right.
This guy was poking fun at the deaths of over 2,900 Americans.
Yeah, and a lot of people
He's talking to an audience where some of our listeners lost family members.
Well,
some of our listeners were working the pile.
WPLR radio host AJ and Chaz, thank you. A lot of people are boycotting his movie. He can't be fired. Just don't watch his movie, I guess, until an apology.